Be sure to mute your audio if you're not, just because hopefully we'll have a lot of people on here, and you know, if people's audio is in the background, it could be very distracting. So I thought I set that on there. But yeah, I'm stoked. Welcome. Thanks for hopping on. What's up, Jason, Mark, Louise, Luca, Jerson? Who we got else here? Axel, what's up, buddy? Man, Patrick, Shello, Tim. Okay, cool. We got a big group of people on here. So first off, what I'm going to go over is what I really like this week is pound pairs and dollar CAD and Swiss pairs. So I'll do that. If you guys have any questions, what's up, Sean? How you doing, buddy? If you guys have any questions, like, use the chat box. And then at the end, you know, if you guys want to share your charts, see what setups you're looking at the week, and, you know, I can tell you what I think, or we can talk about your technical analysis. And because, man, I've had this group for a long time now, and it's not just me that's like a great trader in here. There's a lot of good, talented people, and so you guys might see more than I see. So that's why I don't want to go over I don't want to go over every pairs. I want you all to share your analysis if you want to, if you feel comfortable, and all that good stuff. So hit me up in the chat box if you have any questions. I'll have it on here, and yeah, let's get right into it, man. I'm excited. I do think it's going to be a huge week for the dollar. I think I went over that on Friday. So, like, man, we are on some big breakout points all across the board. So, and everybody's betting against the dollar. One thing is, like, when everybody's betting one way, you got to be thinking like, man, you know, there's a group of people out there that's looking for a switch. So I'm not talking about like picking the top so much and the bottoms every time, but you know, just being mindful, right? Because like on EURUSD, if you pull that up, this 118 level has been so hard for it to break. Now, once we break that level, you know, I think that if we break it, that like we're going to have some serious upside there. So, but I want to talk about the dollar, and actually I just recharged everything and my charts deleted off of here. So I used to hate it when that happened, but I actually kind of like it now because it gives me a fresh opportunity to look at everything. So this is the pound dollar, right? GBPUSD. And I really think, so if the dollar doesn't break out, you know, something's got to take its place. In the training, I talk about looking at the market as this big flow chart, right? So the cash is going out of one thing, then it's going into another thing, then it's going into another thing. And that's pretty much, obviously, all the cash has been going into gold and silver. So, but, you know, that looks like it's kind of emptying out of there a bit. So, you know, the best thing to do is it's like chess, man. You got to think a couple moves ahead of what the market might be doing. So, if you've noticed with my trading and the videos I've shared, I've been looking at weekly charts a lot. So this is a pretty obvious one. We have this huge double top, which happened a couple years ago. I remember that like it was yesterday. But we have this perfect multi-year trend line. So like the reason I've been looking at monthly charts and weekly charts is so I can get a long-term bias and a long-term assessment of what I think the market's going to do, right? So what are trend lines for? Remember this. What are trend lines for? And the thing they're for is to be broken, right? It's just a matter of time before this gets broken out of. Is it going to respect this time? Yeah, it might. So like if the dollar, you know, breaks loose for another bull run, or maybe really just, I would consider it a bearish rally, we might get something like that. And then really, this is like, so like if you've been in my group for long enough, like I've been calling that move on silver for a long ass time because I was like expecting it and waiting for it to happen. Same thing with this move on the pound. I really see this setting up. It's just a matter of time. Now on the weekly chart, especially if you're trading pound pairs, the pound has like, when it's technical, let me put it this way, it's super technical. And then when it breaks out, it breaks out hard, right? So, but you can see right here, the 61.8% Fibonacci is there. When you see a 61.8 on a weekly time frame, usually it gets respected, at least for a little bit, right? And so like on Euro USD, we're right at 61.8, right? So Euro USD, GBPUSD, I'm on a weekly chart. I saw Daniel looking at it. So like you see this head and shoulders pattern that just kind of then fizzled out there, right? And so we've broken out on multiple parts for Euro USD, right? Here's one. But if we even go back in time here to you know, back to 2008, we're like right out at this trend line. So this is like, you know, like code blue critical area for Euro USD, for pound USD. And so like, maybe it's going to happen this week, maybe it's not going to happen this week, but like, you know, and in the training, I talk about buying dips, right? So when this does break out, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, this is going to be just an epic play for Euro USD, which would probably have us at least retesting this high, right? So this would be a good area for me to draw into my demand zone boxes. This is what when I use the boxes, it really dictates a supply and demand zone. So right, so this is a former supply zone and will act as a great resistance. And that comes in at 125. So if we make a game plan of like, man, thinking long-term, watching the Euro, making a game plan of when that does break out, I'm going to be buying dips going up to 125, and we're at 118 right now. I mean, then you got a game plan, 700 pips, and then you can buy dips on the way up, right? Because then that's when we go down to our daily chart, look for retracement. You know, maybe this is going to happen, maybe it's not. It would be great if it does, but then we'd look to buy a dip down here, get in, buy a dip right here at the 78.6, which is also another demand zone. Boom, right? And then and I talk about too, I've been mentioning it in my videos, if you're not sure where it's going to happen, just look left, right? Where was a big major area? Clearly right here, right? Where it got rejected, broke out, and then retested. So you can count on this being a big area in the future, whether for a long-term target, you know, with some sort of rejection there. And we can make a game plan. So, you know, this area is at 121. I would say that is a pretty great bet that if we break out, when we break out, that we'll be headed that way. So same deal on the pound, man. I mean, like at least this double top here. And we got so much stuff that could be working against the dollar in the future. Like we're like 75 days from the election. Like, I don't know about you all, but I feel like it's like a volcano about to blow in the market for real. And the whole Biden Trump thing, man, it doesn't matter what you're on, but like what side you're on, but like as a trader, you got to be expecting like there's some people with some big ass plans after the election happens. So if we could try to position ourselves in the right way, we can come out on top. And dude, you know, I don't see any reason why. So let's see. This could be an area. So we could get in there. buy this dip. And like, obviously it's the market, so it's not going to be this easy. But if we do break out, you can be like, dude, I got a long-term attack strategy. I'm reading a great book, and I follow an entrepreneur called, his name's Patrick Bet-David. He's awesome. Yeah, maybe some of y'all know him. He has a YouTube channel called Valuetainment, and he just wrote a book called Your Next 5 Moves. And it's like about being an entrepreneur and stuff, but man, it relates so well to trading. If you can, I'm probably gonna do a YouTube video on this, but your next 5 moves, what's it gonna be? So if we hit like this breakout here, man, we're at 130 right now, and if we're breaking out to 143, that's 1,300 pips. And like, when the pound breaks out, it can hit 300 pips in a day. Y'all have probably seen it before, maybe tried to bet against it. I know I have, and just got my face blown off, right? So like, but like, we can get on the right side of this breakout, man. It could be very, very profitable. And like, look at this. This looks super bullish, right? So maybe we'll have some time for this RSI to reset itself a little bit. You know, remember, you can do technical analysis on an RSI. So on a daily chart, if we kind of hit this level down here and then respected it, you know, that's a big signal for, yeah, maybe we're going to make that next run. Let's see, I saw a question chat. Got same plan for you, Cat. I know you do, buddy. Break out a trend line and buy the dips. Yeah, I'll share the UCAT as well. So, okay, so that is what happens against the dollar, right? So now what are we going to do if the dollar does go on a nice rally? Because it's been getting its ass kicked. It's starting to kind of come back, but I think these Swiss pairs are like a huge opportunity. So dollar Swiss, me and Mark, who's in our accelerator program, Rylance, he's been in my group since we started, but we were talking about this the other day. So just like I showed you our demand zones or supply zones, boom, right? So all we got to do is look left here. Where is there a significant area? So, you know, obviously nothing's exact in the market, but look at this area right here, right? So on weekly, this goes back to 2010. And, you know, this is just the longest part on my MetaTrader 4. You could go back and more history on TradingView, but like, this looks like a pretty significant level. Now, if we break down out of here, that would be like ridiculously bearish for the dollar. But I mean, like, this seems pretty solid. So if this does happen, and like, you can look at it here, we got the just huge divergence in the RSI, and then we go to the 4-hour. This looks a lot like, you know, I don't know if I'd call it an inverted head and shoulder, maybe more of a triple bottom, because, you know, we have this shoulder that dips and equals the head. So like, you know, theoretically it's supposed to be higher, or, you know, somewhat more congruent, but whatever you want to call it, to be honest, it really doesn't matter. But it definitely looks like a reversal pattern to me. So, you know, you could call it pineapple or whatever. But, you know, if you know that this is support, you know, we don't have to overcomplicate things. If you're like, dude, this looks like some huge support. Look at where this RSI is on the weekly. It hasn't been down here since, let's see, since 2000, started, or 2011. So it's been a long time since we've been down in these levels. If we were to get a bounce here too, so what next thing I would do is look at, and I'd kind of look for maybe this level right here. And if we were to get a bounce that high, and, you know, I don't know if it'll happen, but, and remember, this is just the scenario of like, if the dollar gains strength, right? So there's no guarantee, because we've already looked at Euro USD and pound, and if it breaks out. So like for these, if we do get this dip down before we get the rally, you know, same thing with Euro USD. If we fail to really break out here and we have us more of a false breakout on our hands, then, you know, definitely you can expect this US dollar Swiss to make some pretty significant moves to the upside, right? I'm not necessarily saying that this is going to be like a lasting run for the dollar. I mean, it could be, but this could be a huge bounce. So like now we have our strategy of if the dollar gets weak, we see a breakout in pound, dollar, Euro USD. Now we're making our strategy for if the dollar gets strong, right? So, and you know, lately I obviously do trade some of the crosses, but when I'm doing my weekly outlook video, I really like to, mostly because I trade the New York session more than anything, but I really like to get a handle on what the dollar's doing because it's, you know, where you're going to see the most movement on a consistent basis. So here is dollar CAD. So y'all probably may have seen my chart. I did like shared it on Instagram and stuff, but my charts reset themselves. So I'll show you exactly. When I see something like this, this is just a, you could either call it a massive descending wedge. And so these are the structures that we look for, man. The what trading is, like I'm like the worst math person in the world. I'm not good at math, but like I'm really good at shapes and objects and like that kind of thing and recognizing them. Maybe it's because of the amount of LSD I ate back in the day, or I don't know what it could be, but like it's just seeing this stuff over and over and over again. And this looks like a straight up textbook descending wedge here. You know, we got, even on Friday, we got a bit of a false breakdown here, like, right? So it's not huge, but I knew this was going to happen, or like, let's see who, it was either Andre, who's in my mentoring program, and Raul. I said, man, when you see these descending wedges, more often than not, if it becomes bullish, we're going to see a flush down to the downside, whereas, you know, then so many retail traders are like, oh man, we're breaking down here. People end up getting short down here thinking that we're going lower. And then of course, you know, it goes back the other way. So, you know, maybe this happens, maybe it doesn't, but like we're getting to the, and this is what I like about triangles and like wedges and stuff. Like you get to a point where it just moves and ranges and ranges and ranges till it hits all the support, it's all the resistance, and like is like a spring, right? So we're getting to this point where we're going to hit this line and we're either going to break out or we're going to break down. But, you know, I think to me, this looks more like a breakout situation because see, you know, there's multiple confluences of support here. So, so if that happens, same deal, just like I did on the other pairs. Like if this happens, and I got a few questions in the chat, so I'll answer those after I go over this part, because this is super important. Like if you're not used to trading triangles and wedges and this kind of thing, especially a descending triangle like this, typically, like theoretically, when we get a breakout of to this degree, more often than not, 70–80% of the time, we get a breakout that equals to the top of this triangle, typically, right? So, like, you can go back, and I know a great example of that. Like, here is silver. We go back in time here. All right, where are we at? There's multiple places all along here, like Maybe it's gold. I think it's gold. Here we go. Here's a good example. So this is on an hourly chart. But you can see this is a descending triangle here. And this was back in January. I remember this clearly. And you can see where the rally happened, right? So you guys see that? So it's not like straight up, obviously. We have our breakout here. Nothing's straight up and down unless it is gold really these days. But we have our retracements. We have our dips. But we hit the top of the triangle, right? And so like if you're in this trade and got in at 1545, rode it up to 1585, that's a great hold over time, right? So lately gold's been moving a lot more than that in a day, but like that's just a great example. So if I go back to dollar CAD, let's see. And so the example I just showed you was on an hourly chart. Here we are on a daily chart. So it's exponentially larger. So what I would do is next, put out these zones. They could act as, you know, targets or places to and so potentially, and then to top it all off. And so why I'm doing all this is because I talk about how important it is to have a game plan, have a strategy. You can see these boxes kind of are close to the same Fibonacci levels. So what I would look to do is, and especially if and when we break out of here, what we're going to be watching for is if we like close above this level right here, that will be huge. That'll be more like confirmation of like, this is happening. So we're at 132. The top of this is 145. So over X amount of time, you know, you can have a bullish bias on dollar CAD and be looking to buy dips, right? And so now we have our long-term view. Then we can go into our 4-hour and really just wait for this to materialize and have a really more strategy, being more strategic about our trading is huge. So you're like, oh, dude, okay, US dollar CAD looks like the dollar's about to make a run. So the dollar CAD's a little bit different because it is measured so much on what's happening in the oil market as well. And so, okay, looking at some of the comments in here. So can you make a trend line for every time frame or just weekly and daily? So yeah, Mark, you can make a trend line for every time frame, right? So a weekly time frame, like those big trend lines I made on pound dollar, euro dollar, those are going to be much more significant. They're going to hold much more strength in the market than one that you draw on a 15-minute chart. 15-minute chart might cause a disruption, but it's not going to be like a potential for a big reversal. How can you tell where there'll be a change in market structure? You just have to keep graphing it out. Let's see. So yeah, Sean. I definitely think dollar CAD will be a great swing trade. I mean, you're getting set up for the funding challenge, and the way that works is that, you know, you have to once you get funded, you have to close your trades out on Friday. So having a bias of like, since you have to close your trades and you can't hold them, if you just held them, it'd be way easier. So now you're like, okay, so my game plan is buying dips on dollar CAD over the next, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long it takes. 3 touches on NZD/USD. Yeah, Kiwi looks super weak. So does Aussie. But I want to take a look at a couple more pound pairs, and then I'll see if you guys want to share anything. So Max just asked about Swiss yen. So Swiss yen, dude, this is a great indicator. Like I just talked about US dollar Swiss. If we see that massive pop in dollar Swiss, then you could really expect this to come down further. And I shared this, like if we go from a weekly chart, like I love these setups right here where you have like a huge ass rally and then a retracement down and then a range, because like, it might take years, but this is just pressure building up and building up like a spring. Exactly what we had in gold, silver, right? So here we are. We're right at the breaking point. And like I said, trend lines, these structures, they make themselves and then they're meant to be broken, right? So we had a little false breakdown here, which led us to break higher. And so now, this is a weekly chart, keep that in mind. We're back at this massive, massive level of resistance here. So huge level. The question is, does the Swiss keep getting stronger and break out? Looking at it, a lot of my trading is just correlating how it's all working together. I'd look at dollar Swiss, I'd go back to here and be like, man, I don't know if, this could jump lower or break down more just because of dollar weakness. Or if we do get this break higher, then that's when I would expect I go back to Swiss yen. And I think right now, the chances for us to break lower here, instead of breaking out, is pretty high, just because of like this on the RSI here. But I totally could be wrong. I do think we're going to break out here, but we might need to have us a nice little retracement, Max, in order to consolidate, grab the inertia, right? Or like if you saw my inertia is like to get the things going and then build the momentum that will enable it without getting too extremely overbought to break out. And just like, now I'm going to go back. So take a look at this chart. Once this does happen, this is going to be another, I didn't really plan this video on how to make a long-term target and game plan, but that's definitely what this turned out to be. Have a look at this, see if this looks familiar. So like, look at this chart on the weekly, right? This whole structure, this whole pattern here, maybe watch this later, take a screenshot so you know this setup, because it's extremely profitable. So this is 117. We could go up to 129. Now, surely y'all have been trading it enough, judging by the chatter and the I want to see if anybody's got it first. CJ, no. Okay, so yeah, now tell me if this chart looks familiar. There it is. Now let's look at gold. So exact same market structure here, right? So you guys see that, right? Now, how big of a breakout has this been in gold? Like, if we can start to spot these on a weekly chart, make a game plan, and then go more micro, right? And zoom in as we go along, which I wouldn't be surprised. I know somebody's going to ask about gold. So maybe here, some of the people that I follow are still thinking of lower prices, maybe potentially David Brady, if any of you all follow him. If you don't, I really recommend it. He's talking about some of his Elliott wave counts going down here to 1750-ish, which if this happens, I really hope it does. It's going to be once in a lifetime buying opportunity for gold before it breaks out higher. So I think this is what he's looking at, this level here. So, or we could just go higher. But just going back to Swiss yen, this setup, how to trade this wedge here. We're waiting for a breakout. And yeah, nice call, Max. Yeah, I mean, this is an awesome, I spotted this last week. And so, and then here's silver, right? So looks pretty familiar. Boom, right? So what we're waiting for is a breakout. Once this happens, and if we can hop on it, like on the Swiss yen, it could be super profitable. And obviously we have this supply zone, which either we break down below, or you can see how that got bought up here in the weekly, like this candle and wicks down, and now we're moving higher. So hopefully it goes lower. That's for sure. So let me take a look at two more pairs, and then so you all probably noticed, been watching GJ a lot, and I think this is a huge opportunity because on the weekly chart, I feel like this is where we're going, somewhere close to this level here. We just really need to break out of this kind of consolidation we're at. Like, that's the thing with the pound. I guess it got some negative news regarding COVID last week and Friday. But we kind of have this wedge structure going on, which Sean actually pointed out to me, if he's in here. I think he had it something like this. And so this is what I'm watching, man. Like, you can see this level, though, is definitely a throwover line. If you remember that from the Academy, how to trade throwovers. So the big thing is to watch here is, does the pound break down against the dollar? Or, you know, and GJ is a little bit different than being correlated with the dollar, but because it really matters about yen strength. So, man, it's just a matter of time. It's not like if it happens, because I feel like this area on GBP JPY isn't going to last. Like, it's coming up off of here. Like, the pound has been super weak, and it's just a matter of time before it just hulks out and goes into beast mode. So, like, but you can look at the RSI here on the daily. There's the chance that it retraces is pretty high. And if that does happen, this is a good place to kind of wait and see if it breaks inside this line, which it kept trying to do last week and then getting rejected. That line is right here, by the way. But once we break down out of it, if we break down, this is going to be a great buying opportunity or a selling opportunity. Or if you wanted to be patient and just wait to buy the dip, which is usually always the best plan, to be honest with you, but easier said than done, as everybody knows. Yeah, man, I mean, this is going to be a great opportunity because, like, just like everything else with the pound, like, once it does decide to go, it's like, it's gone, right? So there's multiple levels here, which we could target. But long term, and this could take, like, don't get me wrong, this target up here, this could be going into next year. But on a short-term basis, on a daily time frame, this looks pretty probable. And if we get down to like this 134.50 level, you know, it's still 145 to make it up here, right? So like if we stick this trade, it's going to be epic, right? That's going to be huge. So last one here, pound Swiss. So we looked at the dollar Swiss and we saw it's at where it's at on the lows. Look where pound Swiss is on a monthly chart. Like it's just been getting its ass kicked, obviously. But like you got to ask yourself, how long is this going to last? And like to me, if I go on to a monthly chart, this looks like a descending wedge, right? I don't know if y'all see this, but pretty textbook descending wedge. So where can we trade within that? You know, we're pretty much at this bottom here. And like I said, with dollar CAD, like when you have these wedges, dude, a lot of times you see something like this, and you guys have followed me long enough to know that like a false breakdown typically leads to a breakout, right? And so if that's the case, we had a little false breakdown here. When the pound does decide to wake up, you know, this is going to be a great trade. This is the top of the wedge here. So 118, 124, and then even beyond that, just like I said, you know, when we have these type of structures, once they do break out, you can look for, at the very least, the top of the structure, right? So this isn't quite as like triangular as dollar CAD, but now we got our targets, and this is a weekly chart, so we're at 118, and that's at 154. So that's a lot. That's a lot of movement. So I think these like Swiss pairs are at like a huge opportunity. I mean, you could go to Aussie Swiss as well. I know it's down there at the bottom. You look at it on a monthly chart, talk about a false breakdown. Look at that, right? So, you know, you could be like, how's that a false breakdown? Well, I mean, it could be, honestly, it could be a breakdown and a retest, but to me, this looks like the bottom, and just waiting for that Swiss weakness to come through is going to be huge. And I think it's just a matter of time. It might not be this week, it might be next week, but keeping an eye on these Swiss pairs, man, I think it's going to be huge. So so that's what I had prepared for you guys. Let's see, got a question from Angie. I see probably pullback in Euro AUD. What do you think? Bullish continuation. I'll take a look at that. Pedro, pound Swiss. I think it's really good long. 4 hour, 1 hour. Aussie Swiss. Daniel, looks like it's going up to me also for sure, dude. So like, I think we've made a really good game plan for this week. We have a lot of options. We have a game plan for, you know, if the dollar gets weak and we break out, we're looking at Euro USD, pound dollar. If the dollar gets strong, we're looking at dollar Swiss, and we're looking at dollar CAD, right? And so those are, obviously you've got dollar yen too. There's a lot going on. Let's see, but let's take a look at Euro AUD for Angie. And then if anybody else wants to share the charts next, you know, you can message in the chat box, and I'll open the screen share to you all. I'm not like a Zoom master, so I'll try to figure out how to do that. So here's the monthly. This right here was obviously COVID. Here's weekly, and here's the daily. So I mean, yeah, this looks like, God, there's so much going on here. It's really hard to say. I would probably start my trend lines right here, but just like everything else, this looks like really great potential for a move higher. So awesome call, Angie. And then look, you know, this, you could also do some fanning trend lines here. Boom. So I think this looks like an awesome setup. That just Euro AUD moves fast, and right here it's like a range. So like if Euro USD starts breaking out above 118.50, have a look at Euro AUD, and that's when you want to get have your long setup going. And also just against Euro AUD, just to correlate that, you all probably seen how I've been talking about for the past 2 weeks, pound Aussie, and unfortunately re-entered it on Friday and hit our stops, but it's okay because this is an awesome setup if we're going by the idea that a false breakdown typically leads to a breakout. Well, this is a huge false breakdown here for pound Aussie, right? So like, and if the pound, like, so we looked at pound, the scenarios that if and when, which it will do when it goes like into parabolic beast mode, like this thing is going to go, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see it hit these levels up here, right? So where's that at? That's like 198, 196, and we're at 182, right? So then this same deal, man. We make a game plan. This is my long-term target, and I'm going to be looking to buy dips all the way up and ride this to the end, you know? So I know for me, the more I mix in long-term trading with my short-term trading, the better results I personally have, but everybody's different for sure. But that being said, this is like textbook false breakdown here. So I think, you know, you could go like here. Yeah, sure. Maybe it'd be a breakdown and retest. That argument could be, or like breakdown and retest. That argument could be made. If this happens, well, at least you know you're wrong. But I feel like there's more setups that are like positive for the pound that the odds are we're going to see a move higher. So that's what I think about the AUD pairs, Angie, Euro AUD, pound dollar. That Aussie Swiss looks like it's going up to me. Yeah, a lot involves with gold. Also, yeah, I feel like gold and Aussie doesn't have as strong of a current. I feel like gold is just like in a league of its own right now. And it's not really correlating. Only thing it's correlating with is the Federal Reserve and the lowering of interest rates and all the stimulus that's happening in the United States. So like, if, you know, when this next round of stimulus goes through and unemployment and all that stuff because of like the coronavirus relief, that's when gold's going to the next level. Anybody want to share their charts? It's okay if you don't, it's all good. Let's see. Sean asked about dollar yen. I think same deal, dude. You know, with the dollar yen, like if we see dollar Swiss rally, we'll probably see dollar yen make a bust up to like, you know, 119 or not 119, 109. Let's see, we're at 106.5 right now. And I like dollar yen is like my bread and butter, so to speak. But like it's been in a tough little range here for sure. So this level is holding really well where we're at. But, you know, I feel like, of course, this has a big correlation in what happens in the S&P 500. I mean, might as well have a look at that while we're here. And it looks like there's two things that could happen here. Like we bust out and we break higher to all-time highs like the NASDAQ had previously done. So, God, man, I got into trade here and took profits when it hit this all-time high, and here we are. Let's see it. Wait, sorry, I forgot to share my screen. Let's see, share screen. Here we go. So yeah, NASDAQ, we've just gone next level here. But it looks pretty heavy to me. And this on a daily chart. Obviously, divergence doesn't even matter that much in US indices because it's just like so manipulated. But we didn't finish making a new high last week, and that's something to take note of. So if we have the S&P 500, which hasn't broke the all-time highs yet, we see this get a good retracement in a dip, which, by the way, will be an awesome buying opportunity. Say we get a dip down to here, or maybe it just dips to here. That's still going to give more than likely strengthen the yen, but also strengthen the dollar. Now, if it's like a significant pullback, then that's when we're gonna see gold drop. We see silver get that good dip, and that's when we're really gonna see these breakouts like US dollar CAD, US dollar Swiss. Yeah, Max. Okay, yeah, I'd love for somebody else to take the floor. Let's see. You there, Max? I'll unmute you if I need to.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, let me make it so you can share the screen. I think. Okay, you should be good to go.
Is that showing now?
Yeah, just
Cool.
just your name.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
No, just go to the bottom where screen share or share screen, and you should be able to share it.
2 secs. Oh yeah, share screen. Yeah, there we go. We good?
Yeah, nice background.
Yeah. So just a couple of pairs I was looking at. I think one of them that I quite liked was Euro Kiwi. So what I'd seen on the daily was obviously this was kind of during the coronavirus pandemic. We saw these crazy spikes into the 200s, which were unseen for sort of a long time, and then we saw these crazy. Well, even if you look at that wick on the daily, that's 1,000 pips there on the daily wick. And then obviously we've seen a massive breakdown. But what I was kind of looking at and what I'm looking at long term was this kind of had a big sort of, we had a descending trend line breakdown, and we also had a kind of a nice double bottom here, which I'd seen. We're then coming in, just zooming in slightly, kind of retested it nicely here, and we've really pushed away the last few months. We've been pushing away from the 170s, and we're now into sort of the 180s. So what I was sort of looking at, obviously starting on a higher time frame, this would be my first sort of initial target in and around this area. Obviously looking at possibly getting some pullbacks, buying dips, looking on the lower time frames for entries. But I think, 182 is definitely going to be first sort of target, but that's only a shade under 200 pips. And then potentially after that will be sort of top of the range in the sort of the 190s. So I think what I'll possibly be looking at is if we see how price reacts around this level, sort of 182, 183, I think a good buying opportunity might be if we can break through and then get a retest at this level, because I think this level here is really strong. This level kind of like really, well, even if you look sort of back here, sort of March all the way through until May, this was quite a strong level for some time. We broke through, and then it formed really strong resistance, and then we really crashed away. So I think if we can break through here, it will signal some really sort of strong buying momentum. And then I'd possibly like to look for some sort of pullback to that area to then continue long in sort of 190. So I think that's something that I'll be looking at. It might be late this week. It depends sort of how much momentum we get pushing into this area, because we have been on quite a run for the last sort of month. We've pushed from sort of 171 into 181. Whether we ease off or we continue to drive through, but that's definitely something I'm looking at sort of as a long-term position. My target will be sort of trying to get into the 190 region, but I'll only be looking for a position once we can break this level, because I think this level is quite significant for me. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Oh, big time, man. And so like what I would do is I would look at that, and like just like I was sharing Euro AUD, it looks like to me that Euro AUD is up next. Like because because the Kiwi's been super weak. Aussie's trying to hang in there, but if you can, why don't you have a look at Euro AUD now, and if you got it available.
Yeah.
And then because it just hasn't quite got there yet. Angie, that's what Angie was asking about, right? You see, it's very similar.
Yeah, so even if we, have I got EURUSD on there? No, I haven't. Let me just move that.
So yeah, I mean that looks like a precursor, and like where we may have missed the initial run on Euro Kiwi before that hits that next level that you were showing.
So you can even just by looking on the daily, you can see that move from the upside is similar, but we've not had that push through.
Like right, and the moving averages haven't crossed yet.
No, so from here the Kiwi's been weak, so we've had that sort of about 1,000 pip push, but Euro Aussie's just been stalling here, and that's purely due to, I think Euro and Aussie have been significantly strong since sort of lockdown happened across different sort of continents and countries, and Aussie's been quite favourable and the Euro's been fairly strong, so that's why you've seen a lot of, for me, this is a massive range here. Yeah, you've been able to catch trades within there, but if you're actually sort of looking on the higher time frame like that there, that's just a huge range. You can quite clearly see we're just ranging here.
It's just building up that pressure, dude. And if Euro NZD is already there, like, you know, especially thinking in just terms of being a more correlated trader, the way I look at things, it's like gold's already broken out to huge highs. Silver hadn't quite made it there yet, but it's catching up. Euro NZD's already broken out, but it's more than likely we're going to see Euro AUD do it. You know?
Yeah. So like again, similar to what I was showing on Euro Kiwi, we've kind of got a zone in here that we've tapped into here, we've tapped into here, we're tapping again and we're tapping again, and we're getting rejection. But what this is just buyers building and building and building. Once we break through here, there most likely be a ton of buy orders in and around this level. And as soon as we break through here, we'll be off into the 170s. Then we'll be pushing 175, 180. But I can sense that once we break through here, some of the bigger players in the market have probably got buy orders at least sort of 30 to 50 pips above this zone to catch momentum. When you see a breakout of big zones like this, you get big pushes. So I think we've probably got some orders that will likely be some buy stop orders filled in this sort of level. Whether it happens over here in September, it happens next week. I think there'll be some buy orders here to drive through higher. So this is definitely one to watch as well. If you can get another pullback lower, again, it's going to be a better buying opportunity. I wouldn't be looking to buy at the top of this zone because there's nothing to say that, yeah, it does look like a long-term buying opportunity, but there's nothing to say that we get some euro weakness and we sort of crash.
Yeah, that's not the best entry for sure.
No, so you wouldn't want to be entering here. You want to be looking for a much better entry on that. But they're two pairs that are definitely on my watch list. And I think the other one that I'm looking at possibly taking at some point this week, this is one that I did actually take a trade on this last week, and then we've kind of stalled a bit. So let's just zoom out a bit. So I've kind of seen this we've had this huge sort of bullish push, as everyone's been aware of on Aussie, even if come out in the daily time frame. So you had these all-time lows down here. We're having to scroll right down into 0.55, huge wicks being left, and we've just been driving and driving and driving and driving. There's been opportunities to sort of buy the dips, but what I'd kind of been seeing up at this level here was like an expanding sort of triangle wedge sort of forming. And then what I was able to actually take on a lower time frame, I took an entry last week when within the channel, we kind of had this trend line break here, and I got in on this big 4-hour candle. It was only sort of a 40, 50 pip trade, but what I've now seen is we're kind of like ranging. So we've had this sort of big push down, and we're kind of ranging here a bit. So if I come down on a lower time frame, let's get my trend line. So I'm just kind of waiting for a bit of a breakdown to possibly take it short. I saw this kind of move here as like a false breakdown here, because it just didn't look convincing once we hit here, and we kind of tapped back into the zone and we kind of rejected again. So for me, that was kind of like a bit of a fake out. But this is obviously like a bit of a range that's forming off of the sort of trend line break that I'd seen. So I think, yeah, any possible entries in and around here to take it down to this trend line here. And then if we come out on a higher time frame, yeah, we kind of like, I feel like price is just exhausting up at these levels. So hopefully I'll be targeting here initially, and then we could be targeting down below sub 70. So definitely opportunity on here. Obviously long term, this could fall away. I'm kind of, it falls in line with what Clay was talking about with taking sort of dollar CAD long, dollar Swiss long. I think there's a real good opportunity here for if we get some dollar strength to.
If the dollar strength scenario happens, then yeah, dude, for sure.
100%. And the only other thing that I possibly thought as sort of a fundamental thing that might weigh on the Aussie dollar is we've seen in the last couple of weeks, they've had a huge rise in sort of coronavirus outbreaks. They've had lockdowns in certain states. So whether that starts to have a bit of a weight impact on sort of Aussie as a currency, that could be another factor to consider to sort of take this short. So I think possibly looking at that, I think some of the sort of dovish tone during the week from the RBA interest rate decisions. We kind of didn't see the breakdown that we were expecting. It was the same with the Kiwi dollar. We didn't see the sell-off that we were expecting, but I think the market sentiment has shifted. And I think next week, if we get dollar strength, I can see further downside on definitely Aussie pairs, Kiwi pairs, and then anticipating some sort of dollar strength to take some of those pairs higher. But I think, yeah, definitely be interesting to see how the market's open on Monday. But I think there's probably, Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, dollar CAD, dollar Swiss, and Euro Kiwi, Euro Aussie are definitely pairs on my watch list. I think Kiwi dollar and Aussie dollar are definitely ones for me to target, and obviously some of the US dollar pairs to take long. So next week's definitely really shaping up. And I think what I've tried to do is sort of be a bit more specific with trades that I want to take, and I know what I'm looking at. I'm just waiting to sort of execute on them, and then if they play out, great. If they don't, I can go back to them and kind of try and figure out what's happened, where did I go wrong.
Totally, dude. The more we can let the market come to us, that's like pretty much why I've switched more looking at weekly time frames and then making a game plan, like really looking at it from that angle is huge, man. So thanks for sharing, dude. We're just hitting an hour. So man, I guess that's it. It's gonna be a crazy week this week. Hopefully crazy good. I'm really hoping for dollar strength, to be honest. Like I would rather see that play out so we can get that dollar CAD, so we can get that dollar Swiss, Aussie, US dollar. Max, I'll just share one more. I just pulled up Aussie USD here, and like exactly what you're saying, dude. Like, if we break down and we have this level here, and if we break down below this, then in my book, that would be like a big false breakout opportunity. And then then we're back inside this, like what happened here. This bullish move. We couldn't quite get enough strength to make this happen, which would be the other scenario, obviously. This is going to be a huge setup, and like this is an awesome level right here as well. Which, like, thinking just to get back to thinking five moves ahead, we get this dollar strength come in the market. That's just going to create better opportunity to buy against the dollar and pound. Shit, hold on. Let me. I don't think I shared my screen. Sorry. This is it. I hope this happens because we have the false breakout here, and like you were saying, Max, we break back inside this, and then that'll just create awesome buying opportunities against the dollar. A couple weeks, months down the road, and that'll be super profitable for pound dollar, euro dollar. And hopefully we get those good dips in gold and silver. So, all right, everybody, thanks for hopping on. I'll upload the recording if y'all want to watch it later. I appreciate every single one of you. Y'all are making amazing progress. So many people that are on this Zoom, like Angie, Mac, Daniel, bunch of you all have been in my group for a super long time. And I just love watching your progress, man. It's humbling, amazing, and let's just crush it this week, everybody. So enjoy an awesome Sunday, and let's really éxitos esta semana. So enjoy.